Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really powerful and, let's be honest, kind of provocative idea from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. We're talking about law number 14 and the uncomfortable truth that to really get ahead, well, you might need to become a spy.
Okay, let's start with a basic problem we all face, especially in the world of power. People almost never say what they truly mean, right? They hide their weaknesses, their real ambitions, their actual plans, and that leaves you kind of flying blind, just guessing at their next move. So how do you get inside their head?
Well, the book's answer is pretty simple, and maybe a little unsettling. It says you've got to become a spy yourself. Law 14 argues that every single social event, every party, every casual coffee, is a chance for some clever intelligence gathering. It's all about probing, asking those indirect questions, and learning to read between the lines, all while keeping up a friendly smile.
To see just how this works in the real world, let's look at a true master of the game, one of the greatest art dealers who ever lived, a guy named Joseph Duveen. And we're going to look at his quest to land the one client who seemed totally, completely impossible to reach, the industrialist, Andrew Mellon.
Now, what's so wild here is the total mismatch in their personalities. I mean, look at this. Duveen was a talker, a total charmer. Mellon, on the other hand, was famously quiet, super reserved, and he had made it perfectly clear he had zero interest in meeting this flashy art dealer. It really looked like a complete dead end.
But Duveen, he didn't just hope for the best. No, for years he played the long game. First, he secretly put several of Mellon's own staff on his payroll. Yep, you heard that right. Through them, he learned everything: Mellon's tastes, his habits, his daily schedule. Then, in 1921, he booked a hotel suite directly below Mellon's in London and set up a so-called chance meeting in the elevator where he just happened to be on his way to the very same art gallery.
And because Duveen knew Mellon's tastes so perfectly, he was able to just dazzle him with conversation that was tailored exactly to his interests. Mellon was completely charmed. He felt like he'd finally found someone who just got him. And the result? A business relationship that lasted a lifetime and made Duveen an absolute fortune.
This quote really nails it. Duveen's competitors were just baffled. He seemed to have this sixth sense, like he was always one step ahead. So the key here is that his power wasn't magic. It was information, gathered piece by piece from sources nobody else even knew existed.
Okay, so Duveen's method of paying off informants, it's effective for sure, but it's also super risky. The book actually suggests it's way better to just play the spy yourself. So how can you apply this in your own life? Well, the book gives us a few key strategies for a little everyday intelligence gathering.
The French politician Talleyrand was an absolute master of this. His secret was surprisingly simple. Just say very little about yourself. He would totally suppress his own personality, which made other people feel the need to fill the silence. And they'd talk endlessly about themselves, accidentally revealing their plans and intentions. As someone once said, Monsieur Talleyrand fires a pistol into the air to see who will jump out the window.
Now here's a really clever psychological trick from the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Instead of confronting someone you think is lying, you act as if you believe every single word they're saying. This gives them the confidence to keep going, to embellish the story, adding more and more details until, eventually, they get tangled up and contradict themselves. The whole lie just falls apart on its own.
You can also set up little traps that reveal something much deeper than just facts. The Persian king, Khosrows, used this neat trick to test for loyalty. He'd pull one courtier aside, tell him a fake secret about his friend, and then just watch. If the second courtier's behavior towards the king suddenly changed, Khosrows knew the secret was out and that the first guy was untrustworthy.
And that's really the key takeaway here. This kind of spying isn't just about collecting data. It's about figuring out a person's character, their loyalty, their honesty, their weaknesses. And once you have that knowledge, you can predict how they're going to act long before they actually do it.
But what happens when you're the one being spied on? The book has an answer for that too, and it brings us to the flip side of this law, the strategic use of disinformation.
Winston Churchill put it perfectly. The best defense isn't just being quiet, it's surrounding the actual truth with a confusing cloud of false information. By planting the information you want them to have, you don't just protect yourself, you actively take control of your opponent's version of reality.
A pretty dramatic example of this comes from World War II. In 1944, German V-1 bombs were just raining down on London, but a very strange thing was happening. The bombs, which were supposed to hit the city's center, were consistently falling short. landing in the less populated suburbs. The question was, why?
Here's the crazy part. The Germans were relying on their secret agents in England to tell them where the bombs were landing so they could adjust their aim. What they didn't know was that all of their spies had been captured, and in their place, English-controlled double agents were feeding them subtly false information, reporting that the bombs were overshooting their targets. So the Germans would correct their aim, which caused the bombs to fall even shorter, until eventually they were literally landing on cows in the countryside.
This is just a brilliant metaphor from the book. Spying is like gaining a third eye. You can see more than anyone else. But disinformation, that's about blinding your enemy, turning them into a cyclops who can still see, but just can't aim correctly anymore.
So, we've seen how spying can give you a huge advantage, and how disinformation can be used as a powerful defense. What's the ultimate lesson we should take away from all this?
Well, the legendary strategist Sun Tzu said it thousands of years ago. Real power doesn't come from guesswork or from just hoping for the best. It comes from what he called foreknowledge, having better information about your environment and the people in it.
And that's the real point of Law 14. It isn't just about being sneaky, it's about building an advantage through awareness. It's the ability to see those hidden currents of motivation and character that are really driving people, and that allows you to navigate the world more effectively and protect yourself from those who might want to do you harm.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where we are all constantly sharing information online, where companies are gathering data on our every move, where exactly do you draw the line between just observing and actively spying? And more importantly, how can you protect yourself from those who would use that information against you?